Welcome back to the channel, guys. How's it going? My name is Sumet Chatterjee from the Flow Zone Academy. This is Ryan Gafur Khan, and we are founders of Primal Sutra. If you're watching us for the first time, welcome to the channel. You know, we watched a movie last night, a Bollywood movie. I think it was a Bollywood movie. It's called White Tiger, and in that movie, White Tiger, we got so triggered. We started to understand a lot of stuff came up for us.
Fuck the first hour, man.
In terms of just about India in general, about our exes,
It's more also about the Indian culture in a way, right? The Indian master chauffeur culture, the parental sibling culture, you know, that sort of stuff. Right? And one thing that really caught our eye was this whole, and that's how it starts with, is the whole metaphor of the chicken coop.
Chicken coop.
Like even
rooster
if
coop,
the rooster coop, right?
Yeah.
And he made a very, or the writers at least, or the creators of this movie made a very good point that the rooster coop is just so much part of, so ingrained in our lives that if you would give the rooster or whatever human being the keys to his freedom or her freedom, that he would like throw it back at you.
Basically, we all want to seek freedom, and we want to be away from any kind of feeling of captivity or feeling trapped or feeling like your tradition is a burden for you, in a sense. So you feel like, you know, you have to do certain things, and that puts you almost, it boxes you in, it limits your potential in a sense, because you can't really decide for yourself.
Yeah,
Wouldn't
and
you
this
say
comes
so?
back. This comes back to that book called Philosophy of Money. It was never about the money. It's about having that feeling of that you're in control of your life. And if you look back at, you know, Mr. White Tiger, right? From the beginning on, he was already a very talented kid.
Yeah.
Like he could pick shit up fast, read, write. He got it. He was going to get a scholarship. Then his granny, who's the matriarch, you want to talk about toxic femininity for a second, just completely overtook that, sent the little kid to work with his like slightly older brother, to work in was basically what a mini coal mine, I suppose, to help out
coal miners.
And slowly it starts to become very clear that this granny is very controlling, right? Because already there's no scene of a motherly figure other than the granny. Plus the dad gets tuberculosis and is working his ass off still, to the point where he dies.
Yeah.
And when
dad, spoiler alert, but
spoiler alert.
But
your character, ego, etc. is a big play in this, because like how Shiva is the destroyer of the universes, it's not that he destroys the universe, he destroys the paradigm. Like as you see, it's like this White Tiger kid, right? He levels up every time. And the obstacles he faces with his rage in many ways.
Yeah.
He's not always proud of what he does, but he understands if he doesn't do that, there's no other way he can come up. And he wish he didn't have to do it. He's playing their game, and he wants to win in their game, he needs to play by their rules.
Yeah.
And only when he decided to basically commit murder and run away, like completely go against the rules, become a criminal, and set himself free, was he finally free. And you know, it's the roosters that set himself free in this case.
Yeah, so the transformation from nice guy Balram to absolute savage Ashok was very interesting, because at 2 points of the movie you saw the character faint, and that fainting kind of represented his death in the movie, like 2 times. One was when he saw his father being cremated, and I think the second time where he saw that he was almost going through his own rebirth process, like he couldn't take it anymore.
It happened specifically where, you know, the granny sent the relationship with his employer was already getting turbulent, right? For spoiler reasons I won't get into.
Yeah.
The granny sends a little cousin of him to go study under Balram, in this case, right? The main character.
Yeah.
And then what happens is he wants to beat the shit out of this kid because he's had enough at that point. Like he's on the dawn of crack, so to speak. Like he's ready to snap at any time. And as he slapped the kid, once the kid looks blood bleeding from his mouth, and he realizes, I fucked up. This kid is me. He realizes where the problem lies. and they need to get out of this system.
Yeah.
And it comes to a point where he basically murders someone, escapes with the money and the kid, of course, and he completely reinvents himself by using the lessons that he's learned from his employers, by observing. So this is also a lesson in being resourceful. Like any lesson that you can
completely
apply,
resourcefulness. Yeah.
very. Like what I really enjoyed at the end, right? That he pretty much bribes somebody
Yeah.
to have a specific group of competitors handled, and then rehire these same competitors.
Yeah.
And the only thing that he needs to do is manage it. And there was a
Yeah.
clear like weld code in this movie about, you know, you don't have to do this by yourself, and that's why Primal Sutra exists. Shameless plug time. Take it away, Sumit.
Yeah, man. So what this brought up for me is we all have a chance to kind of escape out of the rooster coop, but if it's mainly the ideas surrounding, you know, maybe there's certain ideas around your culture. You're not supposed to be like this. You're not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to have this. You know, you're not supposed to wear this. And I think we've kind of broken those patterns very well. I mean, you can see what the color of my hair is and my tattoos. And, you know, in a respectable, let's say, Indian family, you know, you don't do that. It's like seen as savage or uncivilized or whatever it is, right?
Fair.
Academics does not have to take you to such a place where you feel like that's my whole life. And a lot of Indians, they go throughout their lives really chasing after the next thing and the next thing, and then now it's time for PhD, and now it's time for this, and it comes from a fear. That's what's not cool, right? If it came from a genuine love, that would be different.
So,
but now it comes from a fear of underperformance,
which is a very common, very common
fear.
Core trauma for especially the Asian. So you remember a few weeks ago, I went out with a few chicks, right? And this kind of came up in regards to one of their exes. Like this dude's like a doctor, right? He's workaholic, this and that. She doesn't get the attention. She just wants to escape. I have two situations playing out at the same time because this man only wants the best for his family, said he wants to start a family, but the only thing he knows is, did he be the best at his job? He doesn't know anything about, you know, how to handle relationships because, let's face it, our parents didn't really do the greatest job of being the best example. And I think that's the same case for you at home.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Sorry,
why,
Mom.
Right? Sorry, Mom. Hi.
Yeah, hi, Auntie.
Hey, think facts here, you know.
Yeah. So, well, everyone struggles with relationships, dude. I think it's a very common thing. It's not like only our parents. It's like the whole world, you know, is suffering and just connecting with another individual.
When did
you know?
relationships stop being fun to you?
When it became less about having fun and supporting each other and more about a kind of like like a kind of egoic battle, you know what I mean? Like who's got the power, who, like, you know?
Yeah, and we saw that again in the White Tiger movie.
Yeah, it's like or the polarity shifts, right? Like the woman becomes the boss, and the man becomes like the slave.
I hated that scene so much.
Oh, that quote from Iqbal, bro. What was it? When something is beautiful, you don't become a slave or something like that. It was.
Well, when something becomes beautiful, it no longer becomes work.
Yeah.
In that sense, because
when you see the beautiful, you no longer become a slave.
Like
basically, is the quote. Yeah.
Because if you see beauty in the craft that you do, in the life that you live, then it no longer becomes a chore. Life no longer is a chore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
that's just philosophy. You need to be able to apply it, and that's where action comes into play. Like, what I liked about the main character is he wasn't just a man of knowledge at some point. He was very heavy action-oriented.
Yeah.
Calculative. He started basically off as a rat, just trying to escape other rats. And in order to escape, you know, basically the cesspool that he's in,
he goes from doormat to doorway. I think that's the greatest metaphor
that's
that
when
we
you
can
say
use.
that, because he becomes a little doorway for his nephew to become like wealth.
He creates opportunity, and wealth is access, according to one of the deities we work with, Kubera.
So funny thing that comes up for me, right?
Yeah.
Is it isn't just that he creates opportunity, but it is like he does it in the most ethical way possible, and thus creating like almost like how initially thought time was linear, then it became curved, then it became many curves, and then it's like infinite. So what if this idea of abundance being infinite opportunity, which is
Right.
in theory chaos?
Right. And I think this movie really represented the outlaw, the rebel energy that is so potent in changing and being a disruptor and
Right.
changing culture and starting movements, and pioneers and entrepreneurs
Right.
all need to watch this movie just because, not from the criminal aspect of it,
Right.
but obviously just from the lessons of, understanding what's going on in terms of this movie.
Basically, we're still talking about the chicken coop, right?
Yeah.
But what are your favorite scenes of that movie?
Yeah, man. One of my favorite scenes was when he was basically being framed for murder.
Yeah.
And he had to put on this nice guy image and just smile and wave, in
Yeah.
a sense. And
That
you
was a
could
rough
see a
scene.
tear, like, kind of dropping from his eye. And it was such a powerful scene because afterwards, he goes into a huge patch of grass and he just hides. He, like, shrivels up into a ball. And that's just such a powerful scene for the inner child, how he's, he slaps this kid as well. That scene was really powerful because he told him he was going to slap him again, but he didn't because he saw him in that kid.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like
Yeah.
the metaphor for the inner child, like he realized that he is like repeating the cycle again. And that's kind of what we Indians have to do, and of course others who are listening. If we see toxic cycles, it ends with us. That's it. Like, I don't care if you buy our products or services, but if you recognize toxic cycles, you need to take responsibility and end it right then and there. But the people that are getting in your way, and do what you have to do to be the happiest and freest that you can be.
So maybe you feel this way, guys. Maybe you feel like a pervert of nature, as the white tiger is, right?
Explain what you mean by the pervert of nature.
Because it's nature has created this animal that comes around only once in a lifetime, like kind of, it's a very rare breed.
It shouldn't exist in
and
theory.
it shouldn't technically exist in a sense. So it's almost like, it's perverting the concept of nature. Like, it's changing colors, it's morphing, it's mutating. And I think that there's a lot of outcasts, rebels, change makers, trailblazers that feel similar to this. They feel like the rare breed. They look around and they see the rooster coop everywhere they go, and they see the sheeple, following this woke mafia and just, doing whatever that the culture has set up for them, rather than being the ones that move forward into the energy with forward momentum. And I think we've really broken that old pattern, and now with Primal Sutra, it's full steam ahead.
The scene that really hit me the most was the relationship between the landlord's son and him, or the granny and the main character. Like, that's also an interesting one. Yes. I think the granny one what hit me more. Like, at some point the main character cuts off that shit, right? And what I like about it is, even at the end, almost at the end, like the last 30 minutes, right? This woman is trying to regain control of her source of income. Because men tend to be seen like that still to that day, to this day, right? And he has had it. He's completely done at that point. And she's basically saying, like, hey, if you send this kid back, guess what? We'll arrange your marriage and send a woman to you to take care of. How about that? And at that point, I was like, fuck you. Sorry, you two. Anyway.
Yeah, dude.
And that was such, like, this rage, like after reading.
Also, there was this dynamic of, like, East and West, right? Because the characters were somewhat westernized, and they were, like, mocking the caste system, but they were stuck in that same system that they were complaining about.
They're
and it was
no
like,
better than their parents.
Right, exactly, right.
They were
So
no better than their parents.
it's like an
because,
irony,
It was like this moment where the dude was like ranting, like, wait a minute, this hoe basically gave me the equivalent of a ride back. She could have easily afforded to pay a whole year's salary.
Yeah.
Just like that. I mean, it wasn't that much. And he's just ranting in his room like, is that how I'm being seen? Am I not worth even that? Am I nothing? Am I assigned to nothing more than this life? And then he started to see those types of scenes like continuously.
Yeah.
And he realized like there needs to be a better way. And of course I can't spoil too much. But yeah, there's so much in this. So if you're Indian,
I'm sure a lot of people have seen this too, this movie. So
yeah.
you guys can have your own interpretations, obviously, about it. But for us, man, it was like doing shadow work. Honestly,
What do you mean it was like?
It was like, you know, it's not normal that people watch a movie and experience that level of shadow work. But for us, it was like, whoa, like
it was torture.
Yeah,
it was torture.
We had to stop and pause the movie and kind of go for walks and
5
get
or
in the
6
pool
times.
and then come back to that level because we saw the injustice and the atrocities and just that nice guy nature of the servant, like yes, hello, yes, it's like a fake, you know, facade almost of an Indian character, you know, who isn't being truly real, but
You
still
need to be fake in order to survive.
Yeah, and that's
Right.
the thing too, right? So it's like you that's their duty in a sense. It's almost like working at a Walmart or something. You know, you have this kind of smile that you put on, but that's not going to get you certain results in life if you keep continuing down that pathway of the rooster crew.
Right.
And so we're kind of telling you to break the rules, but also no. You know what I'm saying?
What we're really telling you is to be smart.
Yeah.
Be wise. Don't definitely try to follow the rules of the land that you're in. Maybe you should have started with that to me.
Yeah.
And we're just here to be a reference.
Yep. All right, guys. Hope you tap into the zone today. Let's get it. Upward Spiral Gang. May we never be the same again. Os.